This man was a hitman and a former American soldier named Jack, who at that time was in Morocco to carry out a mission to kill someone. After the morning exercise, he opened his laptop and received information from his client that his target would arrive at the airport at 11 noon to go to a hotel. The client apparently wanted Jack to finish off his target before he got to his hotel. Jack's target was Omar, the head of a terrorist group that often carried out their action in America. Jack immediately prepared his weapons and then rushed to the airport. Meanwhile, Omar had just arrived at the airport while being guarded by several bodyguards and headed to the hotel. Jack apparently had been watching Omar and was ready to carry out the action, but at the same time, two local detectives realized that Jack was targeting Omar, so they immediately followed him. When Jack was following his target from behind, he finally realized that two detectives wanted to stop him, so a chase broke out. In the middle of the chase, Jack got out of the car and ran down a narrow road. At the end of the alley, his client had provided a car, so Jack managed to escape from the two detectives and went to the hotel where Omar was. In short, Jack arrived near the hotel. At the same time, Omar's troops had just arrived there too. Then, using a sophisticated device given to him by his client, Jack locked all of Omar's bodyguards' cars, and the locks would only open after 20 seconds. Jack immediately approached Omar, and at exactly 20 seconds, he opened the door and shot Omar dead. After he succeeded in finishing off his target, Jack went to a place to meet his client, Alina, a CIA agent who often hired him on difficult missions. Alina said that Jack had to finish off another target in England and told Jack to get on the plane. Inside, he found two hitmen who would also work for Alina. Alina said that Jack would work with them in eliminating the target this time. Jack refused because he was used to working alone and didn't need anyone else. Alina said that Jack definitely needed their help because his target was a dangerous illegal weapons mafia who had been supplying weapons to terrorists and once targeted the President of America. It would be difficult for Jack if he worked alone. After that, Alina showed a photo of the target and explained his complete identity. Alina said that the one who knew his whereabouts was a man called Hassan, so they had to look for him first to make their mission easier. Alina showed several photos of people who often hang out with Hassan. Jack happened to recognize one of the photos. It was a man named Dayton, a former British soldier who he once saved while fighting in Afghanistan. For that reason, Jack intended to meet Dayton so they could quickly find Hassan. Long story short, they arrived in England. Jack immediately invited two other hitmen to go to Dayton's residence. On the way, one of Jack's colleagues said that he knew Jack had a wife who had just given birth a few days ago and asked why Jack didn't just retire and take care of his family. Jack answered that after this mission, he would retire and go home to America. A few hours later, they arrived at Dayton's residence. Dayton immediately welcomed them, remembering that he had been saved by Jack during the war in Afghanistan. After that, Jack said that he and two of his colleagues were carrying out a mission from the CIA to eliminate a mafia and an illegal weapon dealer, but to find out his whereabouts, they had to first ask someone named Hassan. Dayton answered that he knew where Hassan was, but he already considered him to be his brother. So if Jack was also targeting Hassan, he wouldn't tell him. Jack explained that their target was not Hassan but the mafia boss, and they promised that they would only interrogate Hassan and would not finish him off. Hearing this, in the end, Dayton wanted to take Jack and his two colleagues to Hassan's residence, but on the condition that they first have lunch with him. Meanwhile, at that time, Terry McKnight, the target, was torturing one of his subordinates who betrayed him. Terry, without hesitation, ordered his other men to finish off the man. Back to Jack and his two colleagues who were being taken by Dayton to Hassan's residence. But when they got there, Dayton and Hassan had conspired with the mafia boss. A gunfight broke out and one of Jack's colleagues was killed by Dayton in this gunfight. When Jack was about to slaughter them, he heard the sound of police sirens, so Jack and his remaining colleague decided to run away. In short, Jack and his partner met Alina. Jack said that there were only two of them left because Dayton betrayed them and killed one of his colleagues. On the other hand, Dayton told Terry that the CIA had sent 3 hitmen to finish off Terry. One of them had been killed, and there were only 2 left. Hearing this, Terry asked for Dayton to quickly finish off the remaining 2, and Terry was willing to give Dayton a big bonus. It was revealed that Dayton had an escort or security business, and was hired by Terry to protect himself while he was in England. Alina, who had just found out that Dayton had an escort business, confirmed that he was hired to protect Terry. She managed to find Dayton's secret office and immediately told Jack and his remaining colleague Samuel. Alina told them all about Dayton, and then told them both to visit Dayton's hidden office to find information about Terry. On the way to Dayton's secret office, Jack tried to contact Dayton. After he was connected, Jack said that he was very disappointed with Dayton, who had conspired with a mafia boss. Dayton answered that it was all just business and told Jack to just go home to America before he finished him. Jack said that he would be the one who would finish off him first and bury him. In short, Jack and Samuel arrived behind Dayton's secret office. The two of them sneaked in to look for information about Terry. But at the same time, Dayton found out via CCTV that his secret office was being infiltrated, so he asked his troops to go to their office immediately. Meanwhile, Jack and Samuel continued to look for information, but unfortunately, they didn't find anything. They then put a bomb there before they both left. After leaving the office, Samuel asked Jack to see Dayton's reaction from a distance. Not long after that, Dayton and his troops arrived, and then Samuel immediately detonated the bomb they had installed. Seeing his office in ruins, Dayton promised to finish off Jack and Samuel. Samuel and Jack themselves seemed satisfied. After that, they left from there. An hour later, Jack told Samuel to send a message to Dayton using his cell phone. When he received the message, Dayton immediately ordered his subordinates, who were a hacker, to track Jack's cell phone. After successfully finding his location, Dayton asked all his troops to prepare because they would chase Samuel and Jack. On the other hand, it turned out that this was Jack's plan to lure Dayton's men to come to him. He asked Samuel to contact Elena to find the location where they could fight in peace. Elena suggested the two were to lure Dayton's troops to an empty factory not far from their base. She also said that she would send 2 people from the CIA to help them. Long story short, Jack and Samuel arrived at the empty factory, and there they saw 2 CIA people sent by Elena. They prepared their weapons and then entered the factory while being guided by Elena. Not long after that, Dayton's troops also arrived at the factory, and they immediately rushed inside. When the battle was about to take place, Elena reminded Jack and Samuel that they should bring Dayton alive because he was the key to finding Terry, but not long after that, the connection was cut off, which made Elena unable to guide them. Fortunately, in the middle of the gunfight, Jack and Samuel managed to paralyze Dayton, and then they immediately took Dayton away. But before they left, Samuel was shot, and Jack preferred to save Samuel. Because the situation was getting more and more cornered, they both decided to run away from the place. An hour after that, the 2 CIA people sent by Elena were found dead. Dayton took the agent's cell phone and called Elena. He said that after he finished Jack and Samuel, he would hunt her down too, but Elena said that the CIA would never stop hunting him unless he wanted to cooperate. Hearing this, Dayton replied that he would work with them if it was mutually beneficial. Dayton and Elena then met to talk about it. Dayton said that he was willing to hand over Terry as long as she was willing to pay him double what Terry was paying. Not only that, he also asked her to hand over Jack and Samuel because they had destroyed his office. Elena immediately agreed because it turned out that she had a personal grudge against the mafia boss. Therefore, she was ready to do anything if she could get the mafia boss. The next night, Jack and Samuel were ordered by Elena to raid a ship on the edge of the lake because she was sure that Terry was hiding on it. Jack and Samuel approached the boat and killed several people, but unfortunately, Terry was not there but a few of his bodyguards. When Jack and Samuel were about to return, they were surrounded by Dayton's troops and gunfire broke out. In the middle of the shootout, Dayton deliberately provoked Samuel to lure him out of hiding. He came out and shot in all directions. Unfortunately, because of this, he ran out of bullets, and finally cornered by Dayton. Samuel invited Dayton to a duel and Dayton accepted it. Samuel managed to best Dayton until Dayton took out a gun and immediately finished off Samuel. Meanwhile, Jack, the only person left, didn't want to take the risk and chose to run away, especially since Dayton's troops were surrounding the place. In short, Jack returned to meet Elena to tell her that Samuel had died and the mafia boss was not there. Elena apologized because she was the one who informed them that Terry might be there. It was revealed that Elena deliberately lied to them so that they were surrounded by Dayton's troops, but Jack didn't suspect that she and Dayton had plotted behind him. On the other hand, Dayton was being scolded by Terry the mafia boss because he failed to finish off Jack. Terry was furious because he had paid a high price for Dayton only to fail. It turned out that Terry was afraid of Jack, and he didn't want Jack to suddenly appear and finish him off. Hearing this, Dayton replied that he would assign his best 2 subordinates to look after him while he and the rest of his troops would hunt down Jack. Elena asked Jack to find Dayton's family because she was sure that if Dayton's family was harmed, Dayton would definitely tell them where Terry was. After a few minutes of searching, they managed to find the address of the Dayton family's residence. At first, Jack hesitated because he didn't want to involve innocent people in this mission. But Alina was able to convince Jack and he immediately went there. After Jack left, Alina gave a message to Dayton because it turned out that it was all a trap for Jack. Dayton immediately ordered some of his men to stop Jack before he got to his family's residence. Long story short, Jack was intercepted by some of Dayton's men. Luckily, he was able to beat them all very easily. He took one hostage of Dayton's men who were still alive and asked why they knew that he was heading to the Dayton family's house. The man told him that Alina had given them the information. Jack took the man's cell phone and then sent a message to Dayton as if Jack had been killed. Dayton was certainly happy, and now it was his turn to trap Terry. At that moment, Dayton contacted Alina and told her that Jack had been successfully killed and asked Alina to go to Terry's hideout. But before that, Dayton reminded Alina not to forget to bring his payment as they had promised. A few minutes later, Dayton's troops arrived at Terry's hideout, but when they were about to surround the place, the Mafia boss had run away and two of Dayton's subordinates who were previously tasked to guard the Mafia boss were dead. At the same time, Alina also arrived there. She looked very disappointed with Dayton because Terry managed to escape. Dayton tried to calm her down and then he contacted his hacker to trace the whereabouts of the Mafia boss. In the end, the hacker managed to find out that the Mafia boss was going to a small airport. Alina suddenly got a phone call from the Mafia boss who asked her to answer the call-in speaker. Terry said that he already knew that Dayton had been conspiring with her all this time. He also explained that Dayton was just being lied to by Alina because she didn't have the money that Dayton asked for, because it turned out that she was not carrying an official mission from the CIA, but a revenge mission for herself. Alina apparently had a grudge against the Mafia boss because he once killed her father. After that, Alina immediately took one of Dayton's men hostage because what the Mafia boss had said was true. Not long after that, Jack suddenly appeared and a gunfight broke out. Alina managed to kill all of Dayton's men while Dayton was still dueling with Jack. Jack finally managed to finish off Dayton, and along with Alina, he went to the small airport to chase Terry. Even though he knew that Alina had betrayed him, he remained professional because she was a client who had given him a lot of jobs. Alina apologized to Jack several times, but Jack chose to remain silent. Meanwhile, Terry had arrived at the airport and would leave England for Russia soon, but his subordinates said that the plane they had rented would not arrive until 20 minutes later. Jack and Alina arrived near the airport. Jack asked Alina to just wait in the car while he carried out his final mission, namely to finish off the Mafia boss. He then infiltrated the place and planted a bomb. At the same time, the sound of a plane coming to pick up the Mafia boss was heard. Jack tried to intercept Terry and the Mafia's lackeys tried to stop him. Jack succeeded in detonating the bomb he had installed and then rushed after the Mafia boss into the middle of the runway. There, a shootout happened again. In the middle of the shootout, Terry tried to get into the plane and asked the pilot to leave quickly. Fortunately, Jack quickly managed to intercept the plane with a car. Terry realized that his plane had been blocked and he was forced to intervene by attacking Jack. Not long after that, Alina arrived and immediately crashed the car because there was one of Terry's men who was still alive. She came out of the car to finish the man, but she was shot by Terry. The Mafia boss finally died. However, unfortunately, Alina was also hit by several bullets. Before she died, she was grateful because Jack had helped her get revenge on the Mafia boss. Jack himself was a little sad because he wouldn't get any payment because she died. After that, Jack rushed into the plane and ordered the pilot to take him home to America. There, Jack grinned after seeing all the money belonging to Terry inside.